Right now, 1 in 4 Americans has literally $0 saved for an emergency. Not a little. Zero. And in 2026, with inflation still eating every paycheck, most people are one surprise bill away from financial panic. But here's the strangest part. The habit that fixes this costs nothing. Takes 1 day a week. And most people have never heard of the behavioral science behind why it actually works. This is the $0 day habit, and it is about to change how you think about money forever. Look, this is not a no-spend challenge from TikTok. This is not about suffering through a day without coffee to save $3. This is about a documented behavioral reset that experts say rewires your brain's relationship with money in ways that last long after the day is over. Most people think they overspend because they lack discipline. Wrong. They overspend because they have never paused long enough to find out what they actually need versus what their brain just automatically reaches for. This video is going to show you the exact $0 day habit, why it works on a brain level, and how 1 day a week can save serious money in 2026 without changing your income at all. And at the end, I am going to show you the real number, what this habit is actually worth over 12 months in 2026's economy. Once you see it, you will never look at a single spending day the same way again. Stay till the end, because that number is going to hit hard. But before I show you the habit, you need to understand exactly why this particular moment in 2026 makes this habit more powerful than ever before. Because the numbers are worse than most people know. The personal savings rate in America just hit a 3-year low. We are talking levels not seen since the 2008 financial crisis. 24% of Americans have zero emergency savings. Not a little. Zero. Another 30% have some savings but not enough to cover 3 months of expenses. That means more than half of Americans are one surprise bill away from serious financial damage. And here is what makes it worse. 81% of Americans made at least one splurge purchase last month. Median amount, $40. Sounds small, but if that is a monthly habit, it adds up to nearly $15,000 a year, leaking out on autopilot, not on rent, not on food, on things bought without thinking. Think about that for 1 second. $15,000 a year. On autopilot? While the savings rate is at crisis levels, this is not a discipline problem. Behavioral finance expert Greg Davies from Oxford Risk explains it perfectly. He says most spending is automatic. We do not decide to buy things, we just buy them. The same way we breathe. Without thinking, without choosing, just habit running on autopilot every single day. And in 22.6, with AI-powered ads targeting you by the second, subscription fatigue everywhere, and inflation still making every dollar feel smaller, that autopilot is more dangerous than ever. The $0 day habit is the off switch. But just knowing you overspend does not stop it. Here is what actually happens inside your brain on a $0 day, and why the science behind it shocked even the experts who studied it. So the savings crisis is real. The autopilot spending is real. But here is the part most people, even personal finance experts, have never heard of. What actually happens to your brain when you go 1 full day without spending anything? Think about your usual Tuesday. You wake up, you grab coffee on the way to work, you order lunch because you forgot to pack it, you pick up something small on the way home. None of it feels like a decision, it just happens. That is your spending autopilot running perfectly. Now imagine Tuesday with one rule: spend $0 today. Suddenly every one of those automatic moments becomes a conscious decision. The coffee becomes a choice. The lunch becomes a plan. The evening stop becomes something you notice and skip. Greg Davies calls this preference reconstruction. Here is exactly what he said. A break from automatic spending habits provides a valuable reset and helps us reconstruct our preferences. We frequently do not know how little we need something until we are forced to forego it for a while. Translation: most of what you spend money on daily is not something you chose. It is something your brain defaulted to. A $0 day forces every default into the light. And once you see it in the light, you realize most of it was never a real preference at all. It was just habit. A peer-reviewed study in PLOS One in 2023 found that mental budgeting, categorizing your spending in real time, directly boosts financial well-being more than any app or spreadsheet. $0 days are the fastest way to practice mental budgeting without any tools at all. And here's the proof that this is not just theory. Personal finance blogger David from Zero Day Finance did one $0 day every single week. Nothing extreme, just 1 day. In 6 months, his monthly spending dropped from $4,700 to $3,170. Total saved in 6 months, $18,432. Not from a raise, not from a side hustle. From 1 day a week of conscious spending. But here is the part most people get wrong when they try this, and it is why most $0 day attempts fail within 2 weeks. The mistake is so simple it will surprise you. So the science is real, the savings are real, but here is the honest part. Most people who try a $0 day fail, not because it is hard, because they do it wrong. Think about every no-spend challenge you have ever heard of. A full month, 30 days, no spending on anything unnecessary. Cold turkey, all or nothing. Experts call this the revenge spending trap. Go too extreme for too long, and the brain eventually snaps back harder than before. You finish the challenge and immediately overspend to compensate. The savings disappear, the habit disappears, and you are back to zero. Sound familiar? Here is why the tiny habit version works when the big challenge does not. 1 to 2 $0 days per week. Not 30, not a month. Just Tuesday and Thursday. That is it. Small enough that your brain does not panic, consistent enough that the behavioral reset actually happens, and sustainable enough to become a permanent part of how you live without feeling like a sacrifice. Here is the compounding math that should shock you. UK money coach Maddie Alexander Grout tracked her clients who did 4 to 5 $0 days per month. Average saved $320 every single month, without changing income, without cutting anything permanently. Just 4 days a month of conscious zero spending. $320 a month is $3,840 a year. And here is the 2026 twist that makes this number even bigger. That saved money in 2026 is worth more than ever. Inflation is still elevated. Interest rates are still high. $3,800 sitting in a high-yield savings account or invested conservatively grows faster right now than it would have 3 years ago. One tiny habit. 1 to 2 days a week. That is the whole system. So now you know the science, the savings, and why tiny beats extreme every single time. Here is exactly what the $0 day habit looks like so you can start this week. Pick 2 low temptation days this week. Tuesday and Thursday work well for most people. The night before, prep everything. Pack your lunch, fill your water bottle, plan free entertainment. Then for 24 hours, spend $0 on anything discretionary. No coffee, no snacks, no online carts, no impulse anything. At the end of the day, write one line: what did I almost buy today that I did not actually need? That one line is your preference reconstruction moment. Do this every week. Track your monthly savings. Most people find $300 or more coming back within 30 days. You started this video thinking $0 days were just about skipping coffee. They are not. They are about finding out who you actually are as a spender, separate from the autopilot that runs your money every day without asking permission. In 26, every dollar you keep is worth more than it was last year. And the people quietly building real cash flow are not earning more than you. They are just running the autopilot less. So here is what we covered. 1 in 4 Americans has zero emergency savings. 81% splurge every month, adding up to $15,000 a year on autopilot. 1 to 2 $0 days a week resets the autopilot, reconstructs your spending preferences, and saves $300 or more every single month without changing your income at all. But here is something I did not tell you at the start. Saving this money is only half the job, because $300 sitting in a checking account with no plan disappears just as quietly as it arrived. Watch this video right now. It shows you the 1-2-minute habit that gives every saved dollar a job before it moves. That is where real cash flow starts to build. I will see you there.